There once lived a young man named Arlo in a small, quiet town. Arlo was known for one thing, and one thing only: his love for doing nothing. Now most people saw this as a flaw, as something to be corrected. They would say, "Arlo, you must work, you must strive, you must achieve." But Arlo just smiled and went back to napping under his favorite tree. Arlo wasn't lazy in the way most people thought. He wasn't dirty or messy. His little house was always neat and tidy. He wasn't unkind. He always helped his neighbors when they truly needed it. He was simply unmotivated by the things that seemed to drive everyone else, like money or fame or power. He found joy in simple things: the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds singing, the taste of fresh bread. One day, a famous philosopher named Seneca came to Arlo's town. Seneca was known for his wisdom and his teachings on Stoicism, a philosophy that valued virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. The townspeople were excited to hear what Seneca had to say. They hoped he could teach them the secrets to a good life. Seneca gave a grand speech in the town square. He spoke of the importance of hard work, of discipline, of striving for excellence. The townspeople listened intently, nodding their heads and agreeing with everything he said, except for Arlo. Arlo was sitting under his favorite tree listening to Seneca's speech, but he didn't seem impressed. After the speech, Seneca noticed Arlo sitting under the tree. He was curious about this young man who seemed so indifferent to his wisdom. He walked over to Arlo and sat down beside him. "Young man," Seneca said, "do you not agree with what I have said?" Arlo looked at Seneca and smiled. "I respect you, teacher," he said, "but I do not think that hard work is always the answer." Seneca raised an eyebrow. "Oh, and why is that?" "Because," Arlo said, "sometimes the best thing to do is nothing." Seneca chuckled. "That is a strange thing to say. How can doing nothing be better than doing something?" "Because," Arlo said, "sometimes we are so busy doing things that we forget to think about why we are doing them. We chase after things that we don't really need, and we neglect the things that truly matter." Seneca was intrigued. He had never heard anyone speak like this before. "Tell me more," he said. Arlo explained his philosophy of laziness. He said that true laziness wasn't about being unproductive, it was about being intentional. It was about choosing to spend your time on things that brought you joy and meaning, and avoiding things that were simply a waste of energy. Most people, Arlo said, are busy running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They are so focused on doing things that they never stop to ask themselves if those things are actually important. They work hard to earn money, to buy things that they don't need, to impress people that they don't even like. Seneca nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand what Arlo was saying. "So you believe that it is better to be lazy and happy than to be busy and miserable?" "Exactly," Arlo said. "It is better to spend your time doing things that make you feel alive than to waste it on things that drain you." Seneca thought about this for a moment. He had always valued hard work and discipline, but he realized that Arlo had a point. Many people worked hard their entire lives only to end up unhappy and unfulfilled. They had chased after the wrong things and neglected the things that truly mattered. "You have given me much to think about, young man," Seneca said. "Perhaps there is more to laziness than I realized." Arlo smiled. "Perhaps, teacher. Perhaps." Seneca stayed in Arlo's town for several days, and he spent much of that time talking to Arlo. He learned about Arlo's simple life, about his love for nature, and his ability to find joy in the smallest things. He saw that Arlo wasn't just lazy, he was wise. He had figured out how to live a good life without chasing after the things that most people thought were important. Before Seneca left, he thanked Arlo for his wisdom. "You have taught me a valuable lesson," he said. "I will never look at laziness the same way again." Arlo smiled. "I am glad I could help, teacher," he said, "but remember, don't be too lazy. There is still work to be done in the world." Seneca laughed. "I will keep that in mind," he said. And so Seneca left Arlo's town a changed man. He had come to teach, but he had ended up learning something even more valuable. He had learned that true laziness wasn't about doing nothing, it was about doing only the things that truly mattered. Arlo went back to his simple life. He continued to nap under his favorite tree, to help his neighbors and to find joy in the small things. He didn't become famous or rich, but he was happy, and that was all that mattered to him. He had mastered the art of laziness, and he lived a good life because of it. One day, a young woman named Alara came to Arlo seeking guidance. Alara was a hard worker, she was ambitious and driven, but she was also stressed and unhappy. She had heard about Arlo's philosophy of laziness, and she wanted to learn how to apply it to her own life. Arlo, she said, I work so hard, but I am never satisfied. I always feel like I need to do more to achieve more. I'm constantly stressed and I never have time for the things that I enjoy. Can you help me? Arlo smiled. Of course, he said, but first tell me, what do you enjoy? Ilara thought for a moment. I used to love to paint, she said, but I haven't had time for that in years. I also used to enjoy reading and spending time with my friends, but now I am always too busy. See, Arlo said, that is the problem. You are so busy doing things that you think you should be doing that you have forgotten to do the things that you actually want to do. You are chasing after things that don't bring you joy and you are neglecting the things that do. But how can I stop? Ilara asked. I have so many responsibilities. I have to work hard to earn money to pay my bills to support my family. I understand, Arlo said, but you don't have to do everything. You can choose to prioritize the things that are most important to you and let go of the things that are not. You can learn to say no to things that drain you and yes to things that fill you up. Arlo taught Alara how to be intentional with her time. He showed her how to identify the things that truly mattered to her and how to eliminate the things that were simply a waste of energy. He encouraged her to make time for her hobbies, to spend time with her friends, and to do things that brought her joy. At first, it was difficult for Alara to let go of her old habits. She felt guilty for not working as hard as she used to. She worried that she would fall behind or that people would think she was lazy. But as she started to prioritize her own happiness, she began to feel more alive, more energized, and more fulfilled. She rediscovered her love for painting, and she started spending more time with her friends. She learned to say no to things that didn't align with her values, and she stopped worrying about what other people thought of her. She realized that true success wasn't about achieving more, it was about living a life that was meaningful and fulfilling. Alara was grateful to Arlo for his guidance. He had taught her the art of laziness, and he had helped her to transform her life. She was no longer stressed and unhappy. She was now content and fulfilled. She had learned that it was okay to slow down, to prioritize her own happiness, and to do only the things that truly mattered. And so Alara went on to live a good life. She didn't become famous or rich, but she was happy, and that was all that mattered to her. She had mastered the art of laziness, and she lived a good life because of it. She often visited Arlo under his tree to share stories and enjoy the peace. Years passed and Arlo grew old, but his spirit remained the same. He continued to live his simple life, to help others and to find joy in the small things. He had become a local legend, a symbol of wisdom and contentment. People from all over came to him seeking guidance, and he always welcomed them with a smile. One day, a young man named Kai came to Arlo. Kai was different from the others who had sought Arlo's advice. He wasn't stressed or unhappy. He was simply curious. He had heard about Arlo's philosophy of laziness and he wanted to understand it better. Arlo, Kai said, I have heard that you are a master of laziness. I am curious to know what that means. I'm not unhappy with my life, but I am always striving to improve. I want to know how laziness can help me to become a better person. Arlo smiled. Ah, he said, you are asking the right questions. Laziness is not about being unproductive, it is about being intentional. It is about choosing to spend your time on things that align with your values and that help you to grow. But how can I know what those things are? Kai asked. You must look inside yourself, Arlo said. You must ask yourself what truly matters to you. What are your passions? What are your values? What kind of person do you want to be? Arlo guided Kai through a process of self-reflection. He helped him to identify his core values, his passions, and his goals. He showed him how to align his actions with his values and how to make choices that would lead him closer to his goals. Kai learned that true laziness wasn't about avoiding work, it was about working smarter, not harder. It was about focusing on the things that had the biggest impact and eliminating the things that were a waste of time. It was about being efficient and effective so that he could have more time for the things that he loved. Kai was grateful to Arlo for his guidance. He had learned that laziness could be a powerful tool for personal growth, and that it could help him to live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. He went on to use Arlo's teachings to achieve great things. He became a leader in his community, a successful entrepreneur, and a loving husband and father. Kai never forgot the lessons he had learned from Arlo. He always remembered the importance of being intentional, of aligning his actions with his values, and of making time for the things that truly mattered. He lived a life of purpose and meaning, and he inspired others to do the same. And so Arlo's legacy lived on. He had taught many people the art of laziness, and he had helped them to transform their lives. He had shown them that it was okay to slow down, to prioritize their own happiness, and to do only the things that truly mattered. He had proven that laziness could be a path to wisdom, contentment, and fulfillment. One sunny afternoon, as Arlo sat under his tree, a group of children gathered around him. They loved to hear his stories and learn from his wisdom. Arlo, one of the children, asked, "What is the most important thing in life?" Arlo smiled. "The most important thing," he said, "is to be kind to yourself and to others, to find joy in the small things, and to never forget to appreciate the beauty of the world around you." The children nodded their heads in agreement. They understood that Arlo's teachings were not just about laziness, they were about living a good life, a life filled with love, joy, and purpose. As the sun began to set, Arlo closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He felt grateful for the life he had lived, for the people he had helped, and for the lessons he had learned. He knew that he had lived a good life and that he had left the world a better place. And so Arlo, the master of laziness, passed away peacefully under his favorite tree. His legacy lived on in the hearts of all those who had known him, and his teachings continued to inspire people to live more intentional and fulfilling lives. For true laziness is not about avoiding work. It is about doing only the things that truly matter, and in doing so creating a life of purpose and meaning. The art of laziness is the art of living well. The tree under which Arlo rested became a symbol of peace and wisdom. People would come from far and wide to sit under its shade, to contemplate their lives, and to seek inspiration. The town where Arlo had lived became known as the town of intentionality, a place where people valued simplicity, contentment, and living in accordance with nature. And so the story of Arlo, the master of laziness, was passed down from generation to generation. It was a reminder that true happiness is not found in wealth or fame or power, but in the simple things, in the connections we make with others, and in the ability to live a life of purpose and meaning. The art of laziness is the art of living well, and it is a skill that is worth mastering.